Hi, welcome back to Holistic Healing Hour with Nurse Colleen. And today I'm with Michael Gonzales.
Hi.
You want to give us a little bit about your background?
Well, my name is Michael Gonzales. I actually have been working in the addiction field, in the mental health field for roughly 15 years now. I think I'm an entrepreneur by heart, but I think the most known thing, that the notoriety I get is for helping people and intervening on people. I come from a television show called Intervention on A&Es, so I've been part of that cast for I don't know how long, but that's where people would know me from. It's a syndicated television show, and somewhere, someplace, people recognize me from it. But I think that most people know me for my ability to connect with people and coach families through trauma and mental health and addiction. That's really what I do. At the end of the day, I still work really every day in the mental health field, but I'm known for coaching people and families. And intervention is definitely a part of what I do, but at the end of the day, I help people. So that's what I'm known for.
Right. Awesome. And how did your own healing process shape the way you help others today?
I think that I got sober, Colleen. I got sober. That was my first step, coming to 12-step recovery.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was introduced to 12-step recovery when I was incarcerated first. And that is where I became part of who I am today. At the end of the day, they live by principles, they teach integrity, and that's been part of my journey, was 12-step recovery. But it took me to a point in my life that I needed more. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, life is hard, and I have a lot of trauma and a lot of PTSD in my life. So for me, being abstinent just wasn't enough. Right. Being abstinent didn't cure what was going on up here. Right. At the end of the day, that was something that was really something that I struggled with for a long, long time. But being able to connect with people and help people, in my journey, I was only able to go so far, and then my own stuff got in the way. So that is where my plant medicine journey for myself started, because at the end of the day, I didn't want to die. Right. Half of my life I spent incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And then when I got out, I was thrown into the world. Right. So most people have, they deal with life on life's terms, and they do great. But I went to prison, and then I got thrown out into the real world and said, here you go, have at it. Right. So I did it, and I hit the ground running. But at the end of the day, sobriety and abstinence wasn't my truth. Mm-hmm. I believe everybody's recovery is different. The definition is very clear, and it doesn't have anything to do with abstinence. Everybody's path is different. Mm-hmm. I don't just go talking to people in early recovery and say, hey, you need to be doing plant medicine. That's something that I will never do, because this is for the people that get to so far and they're miserable at the end of the day.
Yeah. You've even said that pharmaceuticals are important for some people.
At the end of the day, we have to be realist here. Right. We have cars that drive themselves. We have rockets that go to the moon, right? Like, we have medicine that saves people's lives. Right. At the end of the day, pharmaceuticals are needed. If you're suffering from cancer and there's only one pill that would fix it, you're gonna take it. Right, that's at the end of the day what you need to do. And I don't fight that. It's a miracle that we have these things available, but we also have addiction and mental health, and we have a lot of things that people take but they don't have education on.
Yes,
that's the biggest thing when it comes to opioids and healthcare and what they prescribe, because it's insurance billable. But the truth of the matter is there's no pharmacological education when they give people these medicines. They don't sit there. Right? They don't sit there and tell you this could be an addictive medicine, and that's not what they say. And I think that's the biggest part, is we're given something that can completely destroy your lives. Mm-hmm. And there's alternatives out there if you're willing to seek them. Right. But you have to have the education behind it. And that's the biggest part. So
what type of plant medicine are you comfortable sharing, what you use and what you use it for?
At the end of the day, I use plant medicine. What I consider plant medicine is obviously medical marijuana. I started using medical marijuana, I can't even remember what year, because truth be told, I didn't want to hurt anybody, and I didn't want to hurt myself. Right. 12-step recovery and abstinence took me so far, and it helps, and it serves its purpose, and it served its purpose for me and still does to this day. But waking up wanting to die, and then not wanting to take pharmaceuticals because I'm an opioid addict. I'm an addict in general. I'll just consume anything. But I didn't want to consume pills to I just didn't want to be addicted to something else.
Right.
You know, there was no, I've taken SSRIs and they just didn't work.
Yeah, for
None
me,
of
it
those
just
things.
numbs me. You don't really feel much of anything.
And I think that that's the going thing for a lot of people, but a lot of people have to be able to cross that threshold and get to a point where they actually help them. And I spent many years on these pharmaceuticals and they didn't have the results that I was looking for. And it numbed me and I wasn't as creative anymore, but that's my story. And that's not what I preach to everybody. I just, you know, for this person right here, this is me, and I'm speaking of me. Plant medicine came into my life and I didn't want to hurt anybody anymore.
Right.
I didn't want to die anymore, and that's the biggest thing, is like waking up and the impending doom of wanting to kill yourself.
Yeah, I've been there too.
I don't know that there's a lot of people that can relate to this,
Yes.
and a lot of people are scared to talk about it. And for me, I was tired of hiding behind this facade because, you know, there was a character built upon abstinence, and I just, that's not what I was.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't for plant medicine, I couldn't have this conversation I'm having with you right now. I medicated before I came and did this interview, and the truth of the matter is most people that talk to me can't tell the difference. For this addict right here, plant medicine works because I put in the work to make sure that I was setting my intentions with using this medicine correctly. I also checked my integrity at the door, and I also checked everything, my honesty about it. I was transparent with my sponsor at the time, and I was transparent with my mentors, and I was transparent with somebody to make sure I was doing the right thing.
Right, absolutely.
You know, because I'm an addict.
Right,
you know, my past history shows that I'm going to abuse something, and it's going to take me down a path of real bad stuff. And in general, that's true. But for me, with plant medicine, it's not true.
And what does that look like for you? A healthy usage?
So for me,
not addictive behavior.
I think for me, it's an inhalation. I smoke, and that's what I do. I don't do edibles. I don't do the dabbing. I don't do all these things. But my intention is set with my plant medicine. You know, in the mornings, I am able to focus, and that's because I didn't go to bed angry, or I got sleep because I wasn't angry. I didn't have all the nightmares anymore. You know, the plant medicine is the reason for this. You know, talk therapy got me to a certain point.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I've done every therapy that you could think of.
I was going to say, are there other treatment modalities you would recommend in addition to
I
plant
think
medicine?
for me is doing my trauma work first before I embarked on this journey of realizing that plant medicine was something that I needed in my life daily. You know, I had done my trauma work. I have done therapy. I've done breath work. I've done everything in the book that you could think of. I've done yoga, hot yoga. I've done everything. I'm obsessed about exercise. I think I've done everything that everybody else has done. And it just didn't work anymore, you know? But for me, in the line of work that I do, taking on all the poisons of people, at the end of the day, that's what I do. I take on all their poison and I help them purge their poison, and I help them find a path that's gonna work for them. I wasn't able to do that anymore. And when I medicated, when life got stressful, I was able to continue on this path.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, you know, for me, when stressors hit and when triggers hit me, I have to be alone and I have to be by myself because I can't intermingle with people, because the path that I used to live was very violent. It was very much like going into war and not understanding if you're going to come back or not. You know, and that was my life for 12 years. You know,
there must be a lot of PTSD from that too.
There's a lot of residual effects from the life I used to lead, and for me to be able to isolate myself, calm myself down, set my intention with why I'm taking this plant medicine, because I don't sit around smoking pot all day and playing video games and watching movies. Like, that's not what I do.
Right.
I'm a father. I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I have 4 businesses. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I'm not just this stigma where they say, oh, you're just a stoner or you're looking for a cop-out. No, I want to intermingle with life. You know, I didn't want to get sober to be in a meeting hall angry at the world. I didn't want that. There's a place for that, and it served a purpose in my life, but there's a whole big world out here that I needed the rest of the world to know. Because that's why I got where I'm at today, was transparency, honesty, but also understanding that there's things in life that you have to take on, do the work for, and then you have to change. Like at the end of the day, life is about evolving. And you know, for everybody to be abstinent because they once had an addiction problem, it's just not the reality of life. It's just not the reality of life. Abstinence kills people. And that's the other thing that we need to understand, is abstinence absolutely kills people. There's set of people that have no business being abstinent.
Right.
They just don't, and whether I'm that person or not, I can tell you my path now is a lot better. My family loves to be around me. And when I'm angry, nobody wants to be around me. So
Right.
I know that I'm doing the right thing because my kids tell me.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If you want to know how you're doing, ask your kids. And I'm a father of 2, and my kids tell me all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm being an asshole, they tell me I'm being an asshole.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is I'm not anymore. I'm not that guy. And that was one of the things that I think that got put on me was, oh, he's this hard ass asshole, and I'm not.
Right.
And the reality is I'm happy, and I want to be loved, and I want to love people, and I want that in my life. And the only way I was able to obtain that was being able to medicate.
Yeah.
It just really is the fact is if I didn't medicate on a daily basis, I become a very angry person that reverts back to behavior that is ingrained in me so deep I don't know what else to do. Talk therapy never addressed these things.
Right.
There's no matter how good I want to be, that stuff still exists. No matter how much trauma work I do and where I put it on the shelf, it still exists. It's still in this brain. It's not going to go away. How I handle it today is completely different.
Right.
I'm not medicating to not address the things. I'm medicating to be able to understand what's going on and handle it better. And for me, it works. And it happens to be plant medicine and not pharmaceuticals. And for this person who is an addict, an absolute addict, this is a way out for me. And this is for freedom for me. And I know there's millions of other people out there like me.
Yeah. Do you see it work for people? And also, I wanted to mention Exit Plan.
Yeah. Well, Exit Plan was birthed on that was birthed on the idea of psychedelics, because waking up every day and wanting to kill yourself is something that a lot of people that I grew up with can understand, but it's also something that people who have survived traumatic trauma in their lives and have suffered PTSD can understand. I lead a pretty successful life. And up until about 5 years ago, I was miserable.
Right.
I woke up every day and wanted to die.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth. And plant medicine got me to the other side. And I consider plant medicine, I consider psilocybin and mushrooms, the magic mushroom, if that's what you want to call it. But psilocybin is plant medicine. There's scientific evidence. There's plenty of studies and proof that this medicine helps take people to the other side to not want to end their life anymore.
Right.
And I'm specific in what I believe that psilocybin does for people. It does thousands of things. It can help anybody. Depression is one of the biggest things that psilocybin can help people with. And there's so many studies.
Yeah, suicidal ideation.
It touches everything, but the difference, the understanding and having the education behind these holistic plant medicines is important. If you don't have the education, and if you struggle with mental health, and if you have borderline or bipolar tendencies in your family, you have to really do your homework.
Right.
Because these medicines can trigger things that these people go through on a daily basis with mania and not being able to handle the normal rigors of life.
Right.
But having the education behind this stuff is key, because...
What do you think is important for someone who's taking a psilocybin journey? What would you say as far as safety or harm reduction?
I mean, when it comes to harm reduction and your environment is very important. The people that you're facilitating anything with, anything that you're sharing and divulging any of your history with, you have to understand that the people you're around are supposed to be there to help you. It's not just a party. The things that we do at these retreats, these spiritual retreats, people feel safe with us for a reason. The reason why they feel safe is because we have conversations like this and we share our journeys, but we also have therapists, doctors, and nurses to back everything that we're saying.
Right.
I don't recommend somebody go, hey, let's go do a psilocybin trip because it's going to help you with your mental health and your PTSD. Right. No, you need to speak to a therapist, you need to speak to a psychiatrist, and you need to speak with a doctor. And these people that are aligned with this way of thinking, not because they're getting paid or because there's some motive, because they actually have the education behind it. There's doctors, nurses, and therapists out there that have the understanding of what we are embarking on today. There's plenty of information out there for a person to start the journey, but there's also plenty of people out there in every single state, every single city to facilitate and help you on these journeys. Right. There's groups of people that exist. That's how I found them at the end of the day. I actually found the group of people by speaking at a holistic event. Like, that's how I found this journey at the end of the day. And for me, when you see the groups of people getting together, you meet doctors, lawyers, nurses. Like you meet this whole realm of people that's not, it's not based on a rave or a music festival, or it's not the stigma that is created around this. People that are doing this medicine every day are doctors, lawyers, nurses. There are people that are prominent in everybody's communities. There's actors, there's everybody. And my truth is if we don't speak about this now, then we're going to lose this.
Yes.
And when I say lose this, we're going to lose the
momentum, the support, the energy behind it right now,
energy.
Behind the movement.
It's not going to be so. It's not going to be so good. It's going to turn into a bad thing. And being in the addiction field, I've watched these things that money do to people. It really corrupts the situation, because addiction and 12-step and all of these modalities that help people are also built on a failing system. You know,
for the person who started the 12-step, he took LSD, right?
He did. And one of the founders of the 12-step did, his journey was with LSD.
So
and
I think that there should be a responsibility to share that part of it.
I think it's very important. The saying the truth about this and giving the education behind everything that we've actually started to voice ourselves about is huge. There's enough information out there that's factual, that's real. It's not made up news. This is scientists, doctors, there's studies out there that show these things actually help people. And you're seeing it now because the world is starting to shift, and they're starting to see that this is actually a cure, you know, because at the end of the day, people are happy now, and they're not going back and forth to treatment 17, 20 times. They're doing their medicine, they're finding their group of people, and they're getting honest with themselves, and they're changing their lives.
And we had spoke about the importance of the follow-up therapy.
Integration.
Integration.
Integration is the biggest part of doing any of these medicines. Like for me, when I started smoking to better my life, I wasn't off sneaking in a corner smoking. Okay, I set myself up for success. I integrated it into my life. It was something that was part of my world. What I do is not something I hide. My kids know everything I do. My kids say sometimes, "Hey, Dad, you might need to go take care of yourself because you're a little grumpy right now."
Yeah, my son.
I'm not offended by that. At the end of the day, I'm checking my motives with what I'm doing. I have people in my life to hold me accountable, and I've integrated it into my world. If it's something that I'm ashamed of and I'm hiding from, then I'm not being honest with myself, and I'm not being honest with other people. And that's my addictive behavior. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of people in recovery. They're looking for another piece of their life to get to the other side. If you're not honest with yourself and others around you, then you're still in your active addictive behavior. And you know, living in the shadow world is not a good place to live. You know, you're going to get caught up sooner or later in your addictive personality, which is what happens to people that have addiction. You're going to come through and you're going to do bad things. And at the end of the day, if you can approve this little lie, you're going to approve the next world of things. And that's the truth about this. Like, medical marijuana exists. It's a medicine. I own 2 medical marijuana dispensaries. Everything that I do with my clients is education. Everything. You come into my shop, sure, you get the vibe. There's the people that want that in their life, but there's also the 65-year-old granny that comes into my shop on a daily basis to get her medicine because she doesn't want to be strung out on opioids. At the end of the day, you know, there's people that know that these medicines actually help, and there's an exit plan in mind. You know, exit plan was founded on PTSD and trauma. That is something that I came up with, exit plan, because people go to recovery and they find years and years of abstinence or whatever, angry recovery. They become angry people, or they get in and out of relationships and they get divorced 10 times, and their life just is this roller coaster. I didn't want that in my world. And I have a lot of people in my life that don't want that in their world. So when I started taking plant medicine, it just popped into my head, exit plan. It was the way out for people that wanted to be able to get some clarity with their past that they've never been able to get. You know, doctors hand up through plant medicine. And an exit plan is based on psilocybin and ceremony and doing retreats, doing it a different way, doing it with like-minded people, but with the holistic spiritual component that people are all seeking.
Because there's something.
There's a spiritual side to this that people they can't grasp because they don't understand it, and you won't understand it until you do it. And at the end of the day, to have all the education behind something, to know that I want a way out of something so bad that I'll go to any lengths to seek it the right way. And that's what Exit Plan was founded on. Myself and my wife, we wanted this for everybody else. My wife had talked about the traumas and the things in her life, and Exit Plan was the first thing that popped into my head. Everybody wants an exit plan.
Yeah.
Well, for me, exit plan isn't,
right.
It's not the dark side that everybody thinks. Exit plan, is that dark? Is that good? No, it's exit plan out of the stuff that's holding me back.
Right.
That's why Exit Plan was created. And having spiritual retreats and places to go is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
The like-minded people that come here to have tea, to have breath work, to have the somatic experience, to do the work. See, we're not looking for that. Okay, I'm better.
Right.
That's not what we're looking for. Yeah. I want that permanent smile all the time, everywhere I go. The only way to get that is to do the work.
It's not such a there's no quick fix to this. It's a process. You need to change your lifestyle.
The whole life has to change.
Trauma and
and that's the biggest thing is some people can't face their traumas without help. And talk therapy, it serves its purpose, but there's a place for that here.
Yes.
And that's what I need therapists to understand. And there's a lot of therapists that are coming around now, especially with ketamine being introduced to this scene of healing, which is it's not a psychedelic, but it is a psychedelic at the end of the day. It helps people get to another place.
Right. I think it's great, especially if you're in active addiction or suicidal ideation.
It's absolutely. It breaks it like that.
Yeah.
It literally I've also seen it break addiction like that.
Wow.
So for me, I help so many people, and I don't think that there's one way to help somebody.
Right.
You know,
and
because
some people feel safer using it because it's legal.
And that's the other thing.
Setting.
In the medical sense, there's a lot of people that are comfortable with this now because the doctor said it's okay. And there's a whole group of people that agree with that, and that's okay.
Right.
You know, that's okay. If this helps them find another piece, then that's what's important.
Yeah.
But the judgment that we take on as pioneers, because that's what we are. We're pioneers. See, I own a medical marijuana dispensary. Well, I used to be in the forest watching the guys with the AKs, growing the weed. Like, that's the world we come from, right?
Yeah.
And now I own a medical marijuana.
Right.
Like, I own a farm. I own 2 dispensaries, right? I got this little card in my pocket.
They're in Oklahoma, correct?
They're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I got these little cards that say I'm allowed to drive around with pounds and pounds of weed, right?
That's crazy, yeah.
I'm a 23-time felon.
Right.
I went to prison for selling marijuana.
Yeah.
I went to prison for cultivating marijuana. I still have these records. On my record, I still have them. And I also have a license that says I'm allowed to do this,
I think they need to get rid of that, the record.
The thing is, here's the thing. When I say pioneers, I was on both ends of it, and now I'm doing it legally.
Right.
And now I'm watching the psychedelics and the ketamine, and I'm watching a lot of good people get in the business of helping people. Because at the end of the day, that's what that is. It's helping people. You can't do plant medicine by yourself. I don't know too many people that do. It's a group thing. We all like to get together and we like to enjoy ourselves.
Is there one substance that helps with addiction more than others? If you were to say like ayahuasca, iboga, LSD, mushrooms,
I think that ketamine, ayahuasca, and ibogaine have shown the real good results with this kind of work. But it's preparing before. See, that's what people don't understand. You can't just go and do this medicine and be like, okay, I'm cured now, like I'm gonna face life. No, you're still an addict. And these things are ingrained in you. It's about the work that you do before, the work that you do during, and the integration afterwards. Because there is no pill out there. There is no puff. There is no drop. There is no dab. There's nothing out there that's going to stop your addiction. Only you can do it. You gotta do the work. And you got to be true to yourself.
You can't do it for anyone else.
Now, and I've had thousands of families want me on board with their family, their loved ones for the rest of their life because they think I'm the person that keeps them sober. And I'm not. No. I'm the person that guides them down the path that works for them. And everybody that I help does not stand on abstinence. The majority of the people that I help all use plant medicine. I do have people that I help that have to be abstinent because that's their personality and that's ingrained in them and that's the safest thing for them. And there's a route to that too, and I know that too. And I think that my open-mindedness, because of plant medicine, has helped me help more people. I was brought up in a rigid, 12-step, very cold, black and white mentality. It didn't work for me. I'm not that person. I'm just not, and there's a lot of people out there that suffer and struggle through and end up shooting and killing themselves in very violent ways because of a mindset that could just ease up a little bit and help a lot more people.
Right.
Yes, abstinence has its place for certain people, but it's not for everybody. You know, plant medicine is the solution.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely. What does it look like when you intervene with somebody who's in an active addictive state? Do you sit with them for ceremony, or has...
I think that when I've used plant medicine to help them calm down and to be able to hear what I'm saying to them, that is the biggest part of being able to watch what it does instantly to a person. Being able to get them to slow down just for a minute and hear what I'm saying. Because that's what an intervention is. At the end of the day, there's a lot of moving pieces, but it's intervening on somebody in a completely out, hurting themselves in a panic state, and being able to intervene and reach them like that. It's not getting to get them to go somewhere.
Right.
That's not what an intervention is about. An intervention is about getting through to them in that moment of panic and just fury and just all the fear that you could think of, and just connecting with them.
Right.
And plant medicine has made that so much easier when I help people. And it's not, I don't use it on everybody, but there's certain people that the only way to reach them is to get them to pause. And how do you do that? Well, it's getting them to take their medicine and calm down. Right. And you know, it's a panic for most people when an intervention starts, because you're getting ready to take their best friend away. Right. Their best friend is drugs, alcohol, whatever addiction they're facing. That's their best friend. So for me, getting them to just pause for a minute and realize recovery doesn't mean abstinence. Recovery means getting better. Right. So I know plenty of heroin addicts that have been sticking needles in their arms for 20 years and now they smoke weed. And they don't stick needles in their arm anymore. Like, that's a freaking miracle, right? Like, so for me, the other side of that is do you see less dead people or more stoned happy people? Like that's the other side of it.
Right.
But people don't understand the real addiction out there. They don't see the real battlefield. You know, if you're not from a big city, if you're not from places that are destitute with drug addiction, they don't think about it. Right. You know, but it's bigger than addiction. It's mental health. It crosses into so many families in this world. I think it's like 80% of the people in the world are affected by mental health. Yeah. Like, I don't know what the number is. Don't quote me on that, but it's very high.
Yeah, I think that addiction really leads back to mental health.
Of course, issues. You can't treat one with, like, they're intertwined with each other. Yeah. You know, I tried to treat my addiction and not address my mental health or my trauma. And it led me down a path of anger. Right. It led me down a path of wanting to hurt myself. Yeah. You know, so I had to eventually address these things. And when I finally started addressing them and integrating them in my life, that's when my world changed. And that's how it is for most people. The medicine, plant medicine doesn't mean you're sitting around doing this all day long. Right. You know, you have difficulties in life where you're triggered and you take a PRN in the real world, right? It's no different. It's no different. There's treatment centers and sober livings out there. My friend Nicholas, he owns one of them, THC Treatment Center, the Healthier Choice. Like, these places exist. Yeah, the Healthier Choice, it's in California.
That's really cool.
Nicholas's program is amazing because it's founded on no different than any other treatment center. No, it's an outpatient program, but they treat it as a medicine. You can't deny these things. There's so many places and states out there that are proving this, that, you know, if you're not willing to look at it, then you're just really just being old and turning a blind eye to it and being stuck in the past. Because the reality is there's people out there that are making it in life because they're using plant medicine. You know?
I mean, it's important to note that it's not for everybody. But pharmaceuticals are important. They are useful. They are helpful. You're not meant to be on them for long periods of time. So
that's the other side is they don't ever give you the education behind the pharmaceuticals that you're taking. You know, they just tell you this is going to make you feel better. Right. And there's really never any education behind it. And that's a problem. There's side effects to most of these medications, and most of them make you dependent on it for a long, long time. And there's just adverse side effects that you don't want. And with psychedelics and THC, there's plenty of studies that show that, like, it's your better alternative. But for me, with the results with psychedelics, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. You know, there's veterans that are dying every day. And the number is astronomical. They say it's 22.
It's more like 30, 40.
It's way bigger than that. You know, and for me, knowing that there's a solution, you know, I didn't have to die. You know, and I was at that jumping off point. And it's a literal, I was at a jumping off point. And if it wasn't for doing the work and having the chance to have a different life, like I wouldn't be here. You know, I did the work and I still wanted to kill myself. Like that's a problem. The minute I took plant medicine, that went away.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think about. I think about all the vets, all the police officers that are struggling with PTSD, all the people out there in this country right now that are struggling. There is a solution. Now, it's not for everybody, but it's worth trying.
What would an ideal treatment facility look like to you?
I mean, that's such a good question. I think that we're going to see it with time. You know, I think with time we're going to see the good and the bad of it. But I think that they treat these facilities just like they would any other treatment center. You know, they treat it as a medicine, and it's highly vetted. You know, you can't just expect, oh, well, this 21-year-old is going to go to this treatment center for psychedelics. Well, there's going to have to be a vetting process because at some point these treatment centers are going to start popping up. There's outpatient centers now that use psilocybin. There's outpatient centers that use, yes, there is. And there's outpatient centers that use ketamine, and they're all founded on a basic principle of helping people.
Right.
So they have programs that they run in these places, and they help people with them. And a treatment center based on psychedelics or any other plant medicine is going to be the same thing. And insurance is going to figure out how to bill it.
Right.
And people are going to figure out how to build programs around it. And if we don't do the right thing and keep it pure, then the big conglomerates are going to get in there and they're going to exploit it just the way they do everything else. And the truth of the matter is we're closer to that now than we even know.
Right.
At the end of the day, I think that psychedelics are taking a big push. You know, there's how many more? There's 6 more states that are getting ready to put it on the bill. You know, and that's a big deal. You know, you can go someplace and get your medicine. And we never thought that we would live in this world of being able to get medical marijuana, but now we do that, and now it's recreational.
Right.
And now we're about to embark on psilocybin and the same journey with this medicine.
I saw Denver's now having licensed clinicians.
That's absolutely. I've met quite a few therapists that have outpatient centers, and they facilitate and help their clients with psilocybin. So I think that the future is absolutely going to be treatment centers that somehow, some way integrate this medicine in their programs. And I think it's unavoidable because the proof is in the numbers and the science and everything that's trackable and traceable. With a little bit of footwork, you can find all the information you need. It's unavoidable. At some point, they're going to do this. And the reality is treatment programs numbers are horrible. You know, they're people's success out of treatment is, if I had to tell you the number, it would be very bad. So I'm not going to give you the factual number, but it's not good, you know?
Yeah. So if somebody is in active addiction or has a friend or a loved one who's in active addiction, what would you recommend they do? How could they seek help? How could they find guidance?
First thing they have to do is go to detox. At the end of the day, a person that's in active addiction, they have to go to detox. At the end of the day, especially if they're taking pharmaceuticals, there's usually medications that you're taking that can cause seizures and just adverse side effects that you don't want. So going to detox is step one. But being transparent about what you're thinking of doing or wanting to do, or having a network of people that know your actual truth of what you want, but finding somebody that's not abstinence based. And there's plenty of therapists out there, and there's plenty of groups out there, and there's plenty of ways to find these people, and it's just as easy as Googling it. But you can find all these groups on Facebooks and social medias as well. But therapists are actually the people that know how to find this. You know, most therapists are very knowledgeable when it comes to finding alternative healing. And that's the first step, is talking to your therapist after detoxing and being transparent with somebody about what your thoughts are. Because if you have a plan of action, somebody's going to take you more serious.
How do you detox? Like if I'm at home and I'm just like stuck in this active addiction, what do I do? Where do I go? If I wanted someone to take me somewhere, is it like a...
Well, if you have insurance, there's plenty of detox programs that your insurance will pay for, but there's also state facilities that'll detox you.
And how long of a period of time? Like what does that look like?
Most people that end up going through detoxes, you know, an actual detox is 7 to 14 days. But you go through the residual effects for, like, especially if it's a benzodiazepine, you're going to be going through withdrawal for quite a few months. You know, you may be in the safe zone to not go through a seizure, but at the end of the day, the withdrawal process from some of these pharmaceuticals is six months.
Wow.
And it just leaves a mark on your body. You know, so getting detox properly is very important, you know, and you need healthcare to do that. You can't do it on your own. You can do it on your own. That's wrong. That's a lie. But I don't recommend it. At the end of the day, when you detox on your own, if you're on pharmaceuticals, you run the risk of dying.
Right.
You know, so
what are risks of it? Seizures?
Seizure. If you take benzodiazepines, or if you're an alcoholic, or you take Xanax or benzodiazepines, these are the substances that you can actually die from. You know, the withdrawal from alcohol, your body becomes dependent on these substances, and if you take them out, you can go into seizure and you die.
Wow.
You know, and at the end of the day, if you go to detox, you don't have to worry about these things. You know, they have outpatient detox centers that give you the medications that you take at home. So there's ways to do everything, but you have to do the footwork. That's the thing that people, for addiction and addicts, doing the footwork behind detoxing is the hardest thing in the world to do. And it's the biggest thing we fear at the end of the day.
Are there at-home services?
Yeah, there is.
To do detox
There's
home?
at-home services, and at the end of the day, you can, if you have the means, you can get anything you want.
Interesting.
But there is ways to do it outpatient. You can do it at home, and state insurances cover similar things. And there's medications out there like Suboxone, and these substances serve a purpose. People are opposed to Suboxone, but Suboxone saves millions of people's lives.
Right.
It's a short-term thing. It's meant for short-term, and people use it long-term.
Right,
And
that's a problem. Right.
That's where the addiction part comes in, but the truth of the matter is Suboxone serves a purpose. Methadone serves a purpose. We don't have to like it, but at the end of the day, it serves a purpose. You know, it sometimes gets that person to where they need to be, to where they stop completely. So in my opinion, sure, it's not good for your body, but at the end of the day, I know a lot of people that have gotten sober because of Suboxone.
Right.
You know, so for me, I think that educating the masses and understanding that that's sometimes part of the journey for people, you know, and to judge them and to think that oh, well, you're not sober if you're taking Suboxone. No, you're sober.
Yeah.
You're
Also,
sober.
there's no room and there's no space for healing with judgment. I hate when people judge for addiction or mental health or. Yeah.
The negativity that comes in because the old way of thinking is there's only one way to get sober and you got to do it this way. And, you know, I just find it hard to believe that we can send rockets all over and cars are driving people around and we can't think of anything other than 12 steps.
What would it look like when someone could recognize addiction, right? If somebody's questioning, well, I mean, I'm frequently using, but is it really addicted, you know, an addiction state? Or is there some like guidelines that would...
I think that the most important thing is to have somebody that you're transparent with, whether it's a mentor or a therapist, somebody that's actually helping you understand what you're going through. If you have an addiction problem, you know you have an addiction problem. Some people that dabble and do drugs every day and maintain in life, there's millions of people out there that do that.
Yeah.
But when you have an addiction problem, you know it.
Okay.
You know
It's
it.
affecting your life.
Yeah, it affects your life in a negative way. And sometimes it starts small. But at the end of the day, if it affects your life in a negative way, you need to look at it. And most people have somebody in their life that can tell them the truth. Most people do. But if you see therapists will tell you the truth. And if you're willing to hear the truth, then you know your journey can start there. But a lot of people that are in addiction aren't willing to hear that. And we're also conditioned in a certain way when we're trying to get sober that, you know, the shame-based recovery doesn't work.
Right.
It just doesn't work, man. And if somebody's barking at me, it's just not going to go well.
Yeah.
You know, and when somebody needs to bark at me, there's people in my world that are allowed to do that. But that doesn't work with somebody that's trying to change their life. It just doesn't work. You know, we're shaming them and making them think that there's only one way to do this, and that's just not the truth.
And that's also a good, you know, recommendation for people who are trying to help others get sober, not to shame them, not to make them feel like, you know, bad for.
I think that the biggest thing I see in helping people, especially in addiction field, is, you know, they have these seminars you can go and you're a sober coach and you're an interventionist over the weekend, but the truth of the matter is helping people, it's a gift. At the end of the day, it's a gift, and you either have it or you don't. If you have the ability to hone it and have a mentor help you hone that gift to helping people, then great. But a lot of people don't have it, and they think that, oh, I learned it this way and it's going to be this way, but that's just not the reality of life. Being able to tap in and talk to somebody is priceless. You know, I can talk to a schizophrenic just the way I'm talking to you, and that's because I have compassion for people and I understand what struggling through life is all about. You know, and that's a gift, to be able to hold space for somebody, to be able to hold space with plant medicine with people and them trust you, especially with a history of me, my background. But I help thousands of people. Okay. I have a 70-year-old grandma, right? This lady when I went to help her, she couldn't believe it, first of all. Sweetest old lady.
Yeah.
And now her life is to a whole nother level.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's
and I got to help this 70-year-old
Yeah.
lady. See, and that's the thing for me is the walks of life that I help.
Yeah.
You can't make this up. And a guy like me, this is a charmed life. I would never be in this position ever if I wouldn't have been able to do the journey of doing my work. Like, nobody would sit down and talk with me. Like, are you kidding me?
And the interventionist community is not even really accepting of these
No.
plant medicines.
I think there's probably other people out there that dabble and do similar stuff that I do, but they don't talk about it.
Right.
And ever since the moment that I stopped wanting to hide things,
Right, the
you know, I
facade,
wanted to be
right.
transparent with the world
Right.
because there's a lot of people out there like me.
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm not the only one. Like, there's a lot of people out there that need to hear this, because if you have a group of people, you know, and they're along the same way of thinking, you're going to let that guard down and you're going to continue to heal and you're going to continue to seek. And interventionists, what I've learned, it's just not like that. You know, people are in it for the wrong reason.
Right.
They've seen it on a movie or they've seen it on a television show, and they think that it's this life, that they're going to earn $1,000 a day and they're going to help the Charlie Sheens of the world.
Right.
That's not the truth.
Right.
Okay. I help.
Few and far most.
Yeah, I help the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
You know, I help people that have been in treatment 20 times and their mom and dad and the rest of their family members won't talk to them anymore, but they won't give up on them either.
Right.
Like, there's people that don't have any money that I help as well.
Yeah.
You know, I come from all different kinds of walks of life that I help, and I come from a world that the way I get to do the life that I lead today is I pinch myself every day, because I come from a world of just alcohol, drugs, violence. It was all bad, you know, and to be able to be in the world that I'm in now is amazing. You know, I help people that are very influential people. And how I did that, I did my work. You know, I went through a period of being one of the only interventionists that was talking freely about their past and their lives, and it hasn't affected me in a negative way. There's a lot of people that don't agree with what I do, but there's nobody that's going to be able to tell me that what I do is affecting the clients that I help in a negative way.
Right.
What I do in my life helps me get through. And what I do for other people in their life is about them. It's not about me. And they call me and they ask for my help for a reason.
Yeah,
You know, I don't care about the interventionist that wants to drive the BMW and do all these fancy things, because that's not intervention.
Right.
Intervening on people is seeing them at their worst.
Yeah.
Their family at their worst. That's how I meet people.
Right.
And I'm involved with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I have a mentor that holds me accountable. I have people in my life that hold me accountable. So being an interventionist to me is a lot deeper than helping somebody in a family for 3 days. I help people for a substantial amount of time, and I help them long term, and the results are they get better. And it's not because of me.
Right.
It's
They
because
do the work, but
it's
you're
because of
there
the
to
path that I
support.
showed them. That's all it is.
Yeah. Had something I was gonna say. It just went.
Thank God for editing.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I don't know. I don't remember. Is there anything else you want to mention?
No,
before
I
we
mean,
get
I think
going?
the biggest thing is education behind everything that
Right.
we're trying to do. You know, these spiritual retreats that we're doing. You know, the journeys that you get to embark on these awakenings, because you know that's what it is. It's an awakening. But the journeys that you get to go on and the education you get behind this, you pass it to the next person, and it makes this even bigger. You know, and that's the biggest piece, is we share this so freely, you know, because it's about a pure thing. It's about healing. That's what this journey is about. It's not about sitting back and smoking a doobie. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about being able to smile, do stuff like this,
Right.
and be in a beautiful place like this while you're doing it, and trusting everybody around you.
Right.
And understanding that the person that you're with has journeyed and can tell you everything that you need to know about this. And also can say, and this nurse over here will help you with this.
Right.
And they'll back everything that we're saying, and you're in a safe space, and we would never do anything to hurt you. We would only show you the way to enlighten you.
Yes, we're over here at this property where we're going to be hosting Awaken Minds events. And we're going to get on the camera here in a little bit with Greg to talk more about what we're doing here. What is your what drives you to want to be a part of what we're doing here?
I mean, at the end of the day, the healing space is beautiful, but being able to talk about this and be transparent and educate people on this. I'm not the only one out here that does this. You're not the only one out here that does this. There's a lot of people out here that do this that shouldn't be doing this. Educating the masses and creating a family atmosphere that you don't have to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
You know, seeking enlightenment in the most positive way and having great people around you while you're doing it. That's what I envision. And being able to share this with the masses, not just with Florida, not just with Oklahoma, like with the whole entire world. You know, because there's a lot of us out there.
Yeah, absolutely. How would you recommend someone stays away? Like you were saying, we don't want the wrong people to get, exploit people, predators. How could somebody choose a good facilitator or ceremony?
It's really simple.
Safely.
It actually is really simple.
Yeah.
We're a small but big group of people, and we all know each other.
Right.
That's that truth of the matter is somebody in this group knows somebody in LA or New York or Louisiana, but connecting the dots.
Small.
All you have to do is background check anybody, and you can get the information you need. The world we live in today, people can't hide.
Right. So ask
when
the community.
Ask the community, and the community will tell you, because the community is filled with doctors, lawyers, nurses. They're filled with people that have to live by integrity, and they do believe this is worthy of integrity.
Yeah.
So I think that talking about it is the first step.
That's right. Yeah, it makes people feel more comfortable and confident, and like, okay, this is safe for me to use to explore. Yeah.
And doing your own education, like do a little Google. Like we're all out there. Like if you type in any of the people that are affiliated with any of us, there's a Google trail.
Yeah, for sure.
They can find out who the hell we are.
There's Colleen, Michael Gonzales.
Just educate yourself at the end of the day, but ask questions, because we are a very open group of people.
Yes,
we don't hide. We don't hide from anything. And that's the great thing about it is everybody wants to feel like that. You know, that's what I find is nobody wants to be hiding.
Right. They want to feel seen, and safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. So we'll come back on in a little bit with Greg, and
thank you very
much. I
much.
appreciate you coming and sharing.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.